Welcome to Movie and Recap. 86% of pupils in a French school are successfully graduated this year, setting a new record. Hoping for a chance to dance and go around, they prosperous time in college ahead. Conversely, in Jules Ferry High School, the setting is the complete reverse. It is the lowest ranked high school of the year, according to the news outlets. With a pass percentage of barely 12%. Inspectors for the academy, assistant inspectors, and the principal is holding a meeting to examine the subpar performance of the students. They have hired it as challenging since the pupils are intelligent and have access to the greatest teachers in the city. For them to comprehend the reason for the failure. Should the pass rate not increase to a minimum of 50 this year, the sponsors will no longer provide funds, necessitating the school's closure. They devise a novel tactic that has never been attempted before in order to avoid this. Their goal is to select the nation's worst educators. As the finest ones failed to provide, they are hoping that even the worst outcomes will have an impact on getting them the outcomes they desired. Next, worst instructors. The aforementioned worst teachers are introduced to us. Miss A, the combative English teacher, comes first. Goody. She is excellent at what she does, if a little too harsh on the less intelligent pupils. Then there is Cutiro, the indolent math teacher. He fishes so slowly that the fish do not catch him. Draw him out into the boat. Anything heavy is lifted by the sports instructor Eric, while anything flat is used as a discus. Albert, the chemistry instructor, comes in fourth. His experiments pose a serious risk to life. And his classes are too. Maurice is a philosophy teacher who speaks in riddles and makes they are not as complicated as they appear. The most attractive teacher among them is Amina, a French instructor. Pupils adore her class due to her superb teaching techniques, but primarily because of the wearing skimpy attire. And then there is the history teacher, Paula Khan. He is undoubtedly quiet and erratic. Who was harassed during their high school years. Together, the losing team enters the school. Grabbing the interest of all. Gladys enters the classroom and strikes the children. Group of failures sing bits of chalk right away. More than instructing them, it appears that she enjoys bullying them. Among them the sole student who studies is Nectarine, the regular teacher's pet. Earlier, she skipped a grade. Year due of her great grades, and she never fails to bring it up whenever she can. Next, Boulard, the class clown who is perpetually late, is presented to us. Upon entering the classroom, he becomes the target of Gladys's attack right away. The entire class is in awe of her distinct but primarily terrifying nature. Cutiro's class is the following one. Being in, he arrives 20 minutes late and takes an additional 10 minutes to write his name, demo, throughout the board. He then goes outdoors to finish smoking till the allotted time has passed. Paula Khan, the history teacher, walks into the incorrect classroom and discovers the German instructor there. Ahead. He asks her to join the others, thinking she is a student. The instructor attempts to clarify. Paula Khan, though, ignores this. After clumsily fumbling with documents and discussing Napoleon, he is informed that he is in the wrong class for a short while. After apologizing, he quickly leaves. Paula Khan and the German teacher exchange glances during lunch, signaling the beginning of a romantic connection. The sports teacher forces the children to climb trees during gym class. Without taking any precautions. When others injure themselves, he brushes it off as one of the many issues kids may encounter in life. It is then time for the pupils' preferred class with Miss Amina. When the males first glance at her, they fail to blink. After she takes them out of their minds, and without skipping a beat, they all tumble to the ground. Boulard shows up a little later, but responds in the same way. During the philosophical era, the instructor labels a man who has his coat over his head a talking coat hanger. In his explanation, a hanger cannot speak for the duration. Finally, Albert combines some substances in chemistry class, but following school a small measuring error has left the entire class plastered in fizz. Paula Khan apologizes to the French instructor after school. For his error. Moreover, he gives her a hug without knowing the right protocol. Having never in his life touched a woman. The pupils are taught by the 7 losers for a week. This happens to be the busiest week in Jules Ferry's memory. During the weekend, parents come in complaining about things like the chemistry teacher setting someone's bag on fire, the sports instructor who every day sends pupils home with a new fractured bone. This is the final straw for the principal, who will then contact the deputy inspector of the institution. However, the man does not give a damn about how he resolves the conflict. It was he who presented the concept of worst teachers, but the principal believes he had a hidden agenda because of his rejection of the incident. The reason for it. The principal takes matters into his own hands the following day and makes an effort to push the instructor out of his path. To ensure Gladys would not be hurt, he first adheres the chalk pieces to the table. Capable of striking the pupils. The string on the duster strikes her back in the face as she turns to it for help. Then, as is customary for him, Cutiro takes out a picnic chair for him to relax on throughout class. This time, though, a tiny explosion brought on by a short circuit makes him jump. When he chooses to stop, the principal reminds him of the time by posing as the wall clock and interrupting the class earlier. Paula Khan's obsession with Napoleon is his biggest flaw. Thus, the primary ends the PowerPoint presentation on the subject he is meant to teach the class. Regarding the chemical phase, to ensure that there are no additional explosions, he locks all the chemicals except from water. To eliminate, everyone is wearing layers of clothing, Amina is wearing skimpy attire, and the radiator is broken. Khan is still making an effort to win over the German teacher in the interim. He queries his co-workers for assistance, who advises him to appear tough towards her. Khan considers the recommendation carefully, and after school, he acts like a normal bad boy. He asks while flaunting his non-existent muscles. Invite her to a date. But when she says no, he knows he is not doing this right. Finally, the term is coming to a conclusion. Due to all of the recent stress, the teachers have become despondent. Limitations that they have encountered. At the time of the deputy inspector's inspection, therefore, they gripe about every issue they face. According to a tendency he notices, the principal is overly involved in the teacher's methodology. He thus grants them complete authority over their classes. The group does not hold back now that they are free to act however they like. Although a sluggish Katiro snoozes on a hammock, Khan instructs about Napoleon while dressing like him. For the pupils as a whole, Nectarine's hair is pulled by Boulard during one of Gladys's classes, giving her a fit. Gladys decides to cut off her ponytail as a solution. As she possesses the right to conduct herself as she pleases in class, the principal has no control over this. The chemistry instructor makes the most of her independence. His research ranges from ridiculous to potentially fatal. Almost all classes culminate in an explosion of some sort. The ideology in order to teach his students about nature in its purest form, the teacher makes them wander about naked. By now, the kids in the area have become interested in the school. They hear tales of a seductive instructor, wild classrooms, and nude classrooms. A few weeks later, people begin breaking into the school to get in. The percentage of attendees increases to 120%. The school transforms into a club, and among the new students, the teachers become superstars. Khan is still making every effort to win over the German teacher in the interim. Pretending to be a prince on a horse, he tries to win her over once more. When the horse bolts, the plan falls apart. Nearing the end of the term, the additional pupils are stayed away from the school. To get ready for the finals, the others take a practice exam. Nonetheless, the findings indicate that the pass percentage has decreased from 12% to 3%. The teachers are unsure on how to feel about it. It also shocks the principal that the pass rate could down farther. He informs the deputy inspector that his strategy is failing when they first meet. Then, it becomes clear that the man never intended for it to succeed. To find out the pass rate, he wants to as low as could in order to force the academy inspector to resign and allow him to assume the placement. He appointed the new teacher since he knew they would fail. After hearing the talk, Khan rushes to inform his co-workers. After locating despite being told they are the worst teachers in France, the group is determined to change that. Khan receives the notion of robbing the test papers. The others join in and begin to formulate a complex scheme. So as to do. In the event that they are discovered, they even practice evading gunfire. Then, at last, the day of the execution comes. The group walks into the gathering of protesters outside the ministry. Gladys sits down on the road and disappears from view as the cops chase the throng away. Next, Katiro and Gladys wait outside while the others storm into the ministry. When Amina diverts the guards with her attractiveness, allowing the party to go through the doors and into the secured area. However, an unforeseen issue occurs when the safe's lock requires a 6-digit code to be unlocked. Katiro enters abruptly, demonstrating that they did not have to do the entire process of entering. Collectively, they believe that the day the minister gained the election, which seems to be accurate. In the scene that follows, the pupils are required to take another practice exam. The test is introduced by the group, who also hint at the significance of the questions. But they discover that they unintentionally took the exam papers from the middle school. Nevertheless, the pupils are grateful for their work. With the finals coming up in just 2 weeks, hope fades for everyone. Khan brings his letter of resignation to the principal, aware that his efforts will not benefit the students at this time. As he exits the school's grounds, the teacher from Germany tells him how disgusted she is in him for escaping like a coward. He realizes from her remark that he is not yet ready to give up. He inspires the pupils. And the instructors persuade students to work hard on their studies for the next 2 weeks by quoting Napoleon. From that day forward, the philosophy instructor consumes alcohol prior to instruction, so the pupils comprehend the words he is using. Gladys permits them to wear protective gear to prevent injuries. When she hurls fragments of chalk at them, the sports instructor pushes them more than before. The findings are released 3 weeks later. To the amazement of all, the students exhibit the largest increase in pass rate, although it still only hits 49%. This indicates that the educators are failing. And the educational institution will cease to function. The deputy inspector raises a glass to commemorate his victory, acknowledging that it was his plan all along in front of his supervisor. When everything appears to be declining, the A letter that the principal receives alters everything. Due of Boulard's persistently subpar performance in the school, he gets dismissed. When there is one fewer failure, the pass rate increases to 50%, all because of Boulard's ignorance. Everyone congratulates him on his victory and treats him like a king. Following that, the teachers are free to transfer to whatever school they choose, under the terms of the agreement. However, they choose to stay in Jules Ferris for the pupils who failed by half. The deputy inspector is floating along a river teeming with crocodiles somewhere. It turns out that his boss moved him to a small rural village. The final scene, Khan is kissed by the German teacher just before they take a group photo for the yearbook. Thank you for watching Movie and Recap. Please do not forget to subscribe, hit the notification button and give us a like.